So is there a compromise, Jose? So obviously we laid out both sides. Is there a way that, because I think everybody, whether it be the 49ers team, Deebo's side, everybody, though, if Deebo goes into this next year getting paid what he's getting paid, he is severely underpaid with the type of production that he puts up for the team, right? So is there a compromise where maybe not a long-term extension, but maybe like what they did with Mostert, where they gave him, more money, knowing that his production has changed, right, based off of the contract that they had, right? Because I think Mostert was getting paid, like under $1 million or something like that, and then they ended up paying him like $3 to $5 million, something like that, when he was holding out. Is there a way that maybe they could give him like a 1 year or 2 year extension, increase his guaranteed money, get him where he's like more consistent with the upper echelon receivers, not necessarily the highest receivers, but at least, in that realm where he's getting paid closer to what his impact is? And is that something that maybe both sides could come to an agreement with, knowing that maybe kicking the can down the line when it goes up, maybe even Deebo could get paid even higher versus taking all that money right now?
Hell no, that wouldn't work. For the 49ers, would love to do that. But there's no way Deebo is going to accept that. There's no way. This is now the time where he wants to see the money now. I mean, look, you said it. He specifically deleted all his Niner things. I mean, maybe I'm running before I walk here, but still, that says something. It's like if it's trending the direction that we think it's going, especially you think it's going, then no, he wants his money now. He's already impatient. You're gonna come to the negotiation table like, Deebo, we're gonna kick up your base salary to $3-4 million. Here's $6 more and $6 more million guaranteed and incentives. Like, he's gonna look at it like, what the hell is this?
What if it's closer to 20 million though?
Deal.
What if it's closer to 20 million?
No, he's not gonna do it. I see no way in hell why you would. I wouldn't do that if I'm Deebo. I mean, that's nuts. I mean, he's seeing all this. He's gonna continue to hold on to these feelings. And if he doesn't, he's gonna write it on a wall or something, write it on his paper, tattoo it on his arm, and be like, "Gotta remember these receivers. Right. I gotta see it." Like when Mike Jones put his number on his forearm and stuff like that. Right. That's the number. Except Deebo's gonna have the salaries and guarantees of the top 5 receivers in the league. He's not gonna forget that. This is his time to cash out. And this.
Okay, so if there is, so Jose, if there is no way to compromise, so then what are the implications if this extension doesn't happen, right? What are the implications for the team? What are the implications for Deebo? So let's start first for Deebo. What are the implications if this extension doesn't happen for Deebo? What are his options? And because I think it's clear that he can't go into next year getting paid the type of money that he's getting paid, right? Going into the last year of his contract, he needs to know based off of his impact for the team, based off of what he's worth. It's just not smart for him to go into a contract where he's getting paid, I think it's somewhere between $5 and $9 million, for the year. There's no way he could go and play for that money. It just doesn't make sense for him, right? So what are the implications and what are his options?
Well, of course, demand a trade, number one. I don't think.
Well, first is hold out, right? First option would be hold out.
Hold out. He's going to try to, but how long is he going to hold out for? Because he's going to get fined $40,000 or some large number. And you just said he's getting paid a very, very low number a year. If he holds out long enough, then goddamn, you pretty much just took like a third discount of your salary. And isn't that the point of why you want an extension? So you don't have to lose money. You can gain it exponentially. Now you're losing it. I think that's of course the holdout. But I think at that point, I don't even think he's going to hold out. I think if it gets to training camp, to training camp inside of it, I think if there's nothing traction, I feel like at that point you're going to really be at a bad mood of what the offers are, because by the time training camp comes, that's usually where the 49ers and the sides, Fred Warner, George Kittle, that's when they pretty much know where they're at. And at that point, it was all, I think that's where always the rumors came out, like, hey, it was just the fine details, the final year, whatever, some verbiage, whatever, just messing around that they had to hash out. So if they're not anywhere close by then I don't even think a holdout's on the table. I think they're just going to outright just ask for a trade. I mean, because they know that there will be a market for him. I mean, look what happened 2-3 weeks ago. Jets fans found my article and they all think they have a chance on him now.
Right.
Which is nuts.
You started this, bro. You started this. So then let's flip it. Let's flip it to the team, right?
That's for sure one place that he can go to, or the Colts, or whoever. So he will have a market. And
so there are obviously teams that would be salivating for the opportunity. I think Hello Ladies, great name by the way. Jets are salivating for Deebo. You just brought that up. Obviously, that's the clear probably front runners. Familiarity with the coaching staff there. They run a similar type offense. They obviously know. What he's capable of with Salah and who's over there too. LeFleur. Callie Young's on me. Blame Jose. Yes, we are starting the blame Jose fan train. But let's go from the team, right? So what would be the implications if they just gave him the bag? Let's just say that. What if they give him the type of money he's asking for? What are the implications for the team with that? And then what are the implications if they decide, to trade him?
Well, if they give him the bag, then it pretty much just goes. It's going to add on to pretty much what they've been doing with George Kittle and Fred Warner. I think that's pretty much what everyone said. Like, if you're the 49ers, you have to extend these guys to nice, good deals, before they even start playing on their final year of the deal. Because, like I said, they got done beginning of training camp around that timeline. Fred Warner, Kittle, and why? Because it sends a message. It sends a message to future players who come, we get drafted, like, hey, be patient with us, which, I know I was one person who said, like, hey, signing Kittle and Warner this time, when they're on the final year of the deal, to send a message that shows players, like, hey, look, don't worry, we'll take care of you. Clearly, it's not working with Deebo because he knows that's happening, and he's over there. He's apparently a little upset right now. But I think applications when he gets the bag is great. Now you keep your best offensive weapon. 2022 should be a good year. It's going to be a better round out situation to develop Trey Lance, because you do keep him on a great stud, and that's pretty much you want. You want to keep as much talented players on the roster, and the fact that they didn't really go after anyone high priced, high named in free agency, it kind of feels like that this is good that you keep on a player of that caliber. So I think if you give him the bag, then great. But now you kind of set yourself up in the future for other players who could be due. So who can that be in mind? Maybe like you mentioned already, Ayuk. I mean, that's very along the line, because you still have his 5th-year option to pick up, since he was a first-round pick. And he's entering year 3. So that'd be someone if Ayuk does flourish under Trey Lance. Who else is there? I mean, maybe Elijah Mitchell if he balls out, although the 49ers are not going to pay a running back like that.
Right.
There's just a lot of talented players at that point. When you do that, you're pretty much setting the bar for wide receivers. So I think it'd be more so, because if you pay Deebo that now, that's pretty much setting you up in the future for what you're going to pay Ayuk. And are you going to have 2 high-priced wide receivers like that? I don't think anyone really does it.
Yeah, usually you don't see that too much, right? You don't see 2 legit wide receiver 1 getting paid at the same time. So clearly you're right. I mean, the implications of giving Deebo the bag is more and more likely that when it comes time for Brandon Ayuk to be up for a trade, one of those guys are probably going to get traded, right? So you're probably not going to have both receivers on your roster when Brandon Ayuk. It's going to be one of those Kobe and Shaq moments where you got to choose which one you're going to go with. But let's talk about, if there was if this goes to where they just can't come to terms as far as get close enough with money, and they have to do a trade, what would be the asking price, and what would you think would be what do you think you could get for Deebo on the free market right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, well, of course, Jets, what's up? Come on, give us that 10th round pick, or that 10th.
And I guess let's look at it, because there's been obviously some big name receivers traded in the past.
They've all gone for a 1, at least 1-1. So
let's go back, right? So there was obviously D Hopkins didn't go for a 1, right? It was like a 3rd, 5th, and a player, or something like that, or 2nd, 5th, and a player.
Bill O.B. was on some stuff. That was
right. But let's just, it's got to be factored into the equation, though. So Hopkins, I think, went for like a 2nd or a 3rd and a 5th plus a player. Then you had Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs went for. Did he go for a 1? He possibly could have gotten 1. Went for a 1. Who else have we seen move? Obviously, Brandon Cooks just got. We've seen a lot of top wide receivers go for like a 5th pick, right? 5th pick. Not Cooks. Who's the guy from the Rams that just got traded?
Robert Woods.
Didn't he go for a 5th?
Isn't he on a torn ACL? That's not the same.
I mean, we're saying like there was another receiver that went for a fit too. I'm missing his name right. Oh, Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper went to the Browns for.
Didn't he have a terrible contract? Dude, all these ones you're listing.
Right, but look, terrible contract.
That's what teams are going to look at.
But also with Deebo, if you trade for him, you know you got to break him off a huge sum of money too. It's not just a trade. You got to trade and extend him, right? But but then let's talk about Davante Adams. Obviously, went for a first, and it was
first, second, and like other stupid day 3 picks.
Right, and then obviously Tyreek Hill just went for 5 picks, a first, a second, and I think 4 of those picks were in the top 4 rounds.
Did they get 2 2s?
I think it was a first and a second, and then they got like I think 4 of them were in the top 4 rounds, and then they were all like the other 2 were something like 6th round, 7th round pick. So, anyways, we're talking about a huge sum, at least as far as number of picks. But let's talk about what do you think Deebo could get, because like you mentioned, Davante Adams and Tyreek Hill have had more longevity as far as success, but Deebo's younger. So how would you price out what you could get for Deebo?
I'm not listening or accepting the trade at anything less than a first, to be honest. I probably will just lower the haul that those other players got. Those other players garnered, like Hill, like those 4 to 5 picks. If I can get the Jets, I think they have the 10th. They have some pick, maybe not the high.
Yeah, they have the 10th
first round. I think
they have the 10th and the 15th, or the 6th and the 10th. I'm not sure.
I think it's the 6th and the 10th. So if you say like the Jets are not going to give them a 6th, no way in hell. But maybe the 10th, because since that's later on, and you have less choice of players by then. You take the 10th, that's great value, because a top 10 pick, first round pick. I know it's not top heavy, so maybe that's why the Jets would be more leaning towards like, okay, we can get rid of it because we're getting Deebo freaking Samuel. You serious right now?
Mm-hmm.
So you get that, and you mentioned like, hey, you got to pay him, but it's great. Yeah, pay him because look, you have a young quarterback, Zach Wilson, who really needs help. He needs a lot of help. He needs proven players immediately, and that roster is completely depleted offensively of talent. They have no one that's going to help elevate his talent. Everyone's young that needs to grow. So at least then you have someone there, like a nice linchpin cornerstone you have familiar with on the floor, where you can utilize them and maybe get something similar to get, hopefully the same type of impact you're hoping. That's why you're trading for him. So the 10th round, why do I keep saying 10th round pick? 10th overall pick, the 10th round, the 10th overall pick, that would be great. And maybe just some change. Like at that point, I wouldn't even care what else you're getting. Maybe you can get a second. Well, hopefully you get a second, a third, like a haul of like 2 to 3 other picks. That's where you listen and maybe talk yourself into, we can do this. Let's make this trade. We don't want to pay him this. We do. Maybe if we had another year. I think that's what you're looking at. The Jets, perfectly out of conference, East Coast. You get a decent haul. You put him in a situation where there's some familiarity, at least with the head coach. I know it's defense, but some familiarity. You got LaFleur, so I think that's what you're looking at for sure. First, that's where I want to key on. And at that point, you just try to figure out if you can like steal another linchpin third round pick or a second round pick, some of that sort. It wouldn't be anywhere as high as like a Hill, but maybe close to that in terms of wages, because the Jets, not like the Jets front office is really too keen on those picks. That's why there's already been rumor that they're looking at DK, AJ, and Samuel. So they're definitely going to try to jump on one of these guys if they're available.
Yeah, and I definitely think multiple top 2 round picks, I would say, has to be the minimum, right? You got to get a first rounder, and probably if you could, because I think the Jets have multiple first round picks maybe the next few years. So if the 49ers could get 2 first rounds out of it, I think you definitely got to think about it, because you don't have first round picks for the next 2 years. So if you could get
picks, I'll go there and accept the trade.
Right. So and obviously I think step one, I think both of us agree, I would rather have Deebo on the team than not have him on the team. Yeah. So this is, we're mentioning if for some reason they just can't come to terms with the contract. So 2 first rounds obviously would be no brainer, but first and a second, I think would have to be at least part of it, right? A first and a future second, this year's first, future second, and then, maybe some 5th, 6th round picks or whatever the case may be.
You have to offer that first round even for the 49ers just to listen, because you're not offering at least 1 first round pick. The 49ers are not picking up your call. They're hanging up before you even think about calling.
Right. Right. And I do think that, I do think that I think the Jets were reported that they were shopping that first round pick, one of those first or that 10th round pick to even get Hill. So I think that they're willing to part ways with that if it means a receiver that would, help out their young quarterback and add some life to an offense that definitely needs it, especially with what's happening with that division right now. So, yeah, I mean, I think the Jets would probably be a no-brainer, and that would probably be the best fit. But you never know. There's some dark horses out there that you just don't think about that could come out of the woodwork and hopefully raise the price there.